أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام اللهم على نبي بعد سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحابه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي لا تؤاخذني مما يقولون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون وجعلني خيرا مما يظنون. Amma ba'd. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to the House of Dua and welcome to this special presentation titled Choosing the Right Leader. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, one of the greatest challenges facing mankind today is how to choose good leaders in the society. By good leaders, we mean men and women who will lead the people and provide for them in such a way that the people in the society will be pleased and will be happy, in such a way that everyone will be in a better position to provide the basic minimum for himself or herself. We mean leaders that are free from corruption, leaders that see leadership as a service, leaders that see the resources of the state as the property of the state, not the individual. Leaders that struggle for the greater good of the society. Leaders that have God consciousness, who believe that leadership is a service, and in that capacity they are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Leaders who believe that the well-being of the people is their own well-being. Not leaders who see themselves as tyrants, as lords over their people. Leaders who see the resources of the state as their individual resources. Leaders who believe that only their brothers and sisters and their relations should be appointed to positions of authority. Leaders who have no fear of God. Leaders who have no respect for humanity. That's not the kind of leader we are looking for. Mankind in today's world is thirsty of good leaders. Mankind is not in shortage of leaders in any way, either at family or community, at national and international levels. There are several leaders. But what is short is finding a good leader. A good leader who will be able to meet the needs and aspirations of his people, who will be able to lift the people from poverty to prosperity, from darkness to light, from weakness to strength. Leaders who will be the rallying point of his people. This kind of leadership is very scarce in today's world. You can take a flashlight and travel across the world in search of a good leader. It will be very difficult for us to find one. A leader that is honest, a leader that is trustable, a leader that is able to sacrifice on behalf of his people. We can go on naming some of the indicators of a good leader. It's inexhaustible. The bottom line is that a leader should be able to provide for the needs of his people as well as protect the safety of his people. When this basic minimum cannot be achieved, then there's a leadership failure. And we are seeing leadership failure all across the world. Just go to the social media or turn on the television. There is no part of the world in which you find the greater majority of people happy. There's one protest or the other. There's one difficulty or the other. There's one crisis or the other. Then you begin to wonder what is going on. When you look very critically, you find that what is lacking is good leadership. What is lacking is shortage of men and women with transparent attitude, with determination to bring good to the society. But we have people just live for power, and they come into power They don't want to leave. They turn those power positions into their property. They loot the treasuries of their countries. As a result of that, the greater majority of the people in the society are suffering. Just take a look at the four corners of the world. You can see poverty striking the faces of the citizens of various countries. Even among countries that call themselves advanced countries, the gap between the rich and the poor is so wide now that the poor majority have nothing to look up to. This is the predicament we have found ourselves in. People are thirsty of leadership, a good leader. Just like the revelation Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to us in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2 of the Quran, verse 246. Alam tara ila al-mala'i min bani Isra'ila min ba'di Musa iz qalu linabiyyi lahum bu'as lana malikan nuqatil fi sabilillah. Qala hal asaytum in kutiba alaykumul qital alla tuqatilu. Qalu wa ma lana alla nuqatila fi sabilillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, are you not aware of a group of people who were thirsty of a leader? They were thirsty of good leadership, and they told the prophet that was sent to them, please call on Allah to appoint a leader for us. That's the situation in which the world has found itself today. At that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed a leader for them known as Talut. But what happens thereafter is a different story. The analogy I'm trying to draw here is the people of today are thirsty of good leadership, just as the people of Antioch in those days, after the time of Musa alayhi salam, were thirsty of good leadership. And so they call on Allah through the prophet that was sent to them, but they needed a good leader. What is short in today's world is good leadership. We need it in abundance if we are going to be able to make things good for the greater majority of people on this planet. But today, we have vagabonds in power all over the world, calling themselves leaders of the people. They are plunderers. They are villains. They are tyrants. They are oppressors. That's what they are. They don't care what happened to the people they are leading. But when they are looking for these positions of power, they go out there using every means at their disposal, pleading with the people to elect them into offices, using money, using the institutions themselves, using all forms of persuasion, lying, promising that which they will not do. And unfortunately, the uninformed people go ahead and vote for them. They use the people as a ladder to climb to a position of power. Thereafter, they drop the ladder and look down on the people as subjects, as slaves, as plebeians. They turn the resources of the state into their resources. They use the instrument of power to oppress the people. They go on plotting to keep themselves in power in perpetuity, and thereafter transfer that power to their children. And this is why we're having crisis after crisis in today's world. Whereas in actual fact, we need leaders that have knowledge of governance, of how to lead people. We need leaders that have God consciousness, that know that service is something that is held in trust on behalf of the Creator, and they will be held accountable to it. We need leaders that will see the subjects as part of Him, as an extension of Him. A leader that will provide for the people in the same way He will provide for Himself. That is very difficult to find in today's world. Why is this so? Isn't it time for us to begin to ask this question, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam? Are you as disturbed as I am whenever I watch the television, seeing the suffering in the faces of people across the world? What is responsible? Many ways of bringing people into leadership, either through election, or through selection, or through appointment, or even through coronation, by those who practice what we call monarchical system or hereditary system, in which power transfers from parents to children. But whatever method you use to come into power, it's expected of a leader to make sure that he leads the people in the right direction and provide for the people in such a way that everybody will have the basic minimum in the society. But this is lacking in today's world. Many people have come into office and turned their position into positions of oppression. Many people now go into office as a means of enriching themselves rather than a means of service to the people. Public positions are supposed to be positions of service, but now they are positions of self-enrichment, self-aggrandizement. In spite of our level of knowledge and civilization in today's world, when it comes to the relationship between leaders and their subjects, we are still very much below there at the very lowest level of understanding. They come into office supposedly with a great deal of popularity. The approval level is up there, but less than a year after coming into power, that approval level falls down sharply in such a way that people will go on the streets calling for the removal of the leader they yesterday were clapping hands for. This is the predicament we are found in today's world, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Why is this so? Because those leaders, they deceive the people. They promise what they will not do. Today, the best method of selecting people into positions of authority in various countries is what is called democracy. That democracy has now been rendered illegitimate in several countries through the activities of the leaders. It has been turned upside down. Even in the advanced countries, take America for example, you now find a situation where election is conducted free and fair, and there are those who are saying, no, it's not a free and fair election. You now come to know about what is known as the big lie. Then you begin to wonder, where are we going to as a society? If this is happening in America, what do you expect in developing countries? People are gradually losing faith in the system. Democracy is gradually becoming obsolete in different countries. It's fading away in value. It's fading away fast unless something is done to rescue democracy. So far, it has proven to be the best method of representative government. But people are abusing it. People are eroding it by their actions. They are making it look useless. So it's time for us to start asking questions. Why is this so? Those who are in power, I want to warn you. Those who are in power, if you truly know the consequences of your behavior, you will dare not play with the power that the people have given to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who are in power and abuse them and mislead their people and inflict injury on their people, those who mislead their people, who abuse their people, who inflict injury on their people in the name of leadership. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says on the day of accountability, we shall hold them accountable. We shall place a burden upon them as a result of their misdeeds. And we shall also give them additional burden as a result of the misdeed they inflicted on people, for misleading their people into self-destruction, for causing injury upon their people. Take the example of Pharaoh, Lanatullahi alayh. Do you know that a leader can lead their people into destruction? That's what Pharaoh did to his people. He was a tyrant. He was one of the most wicked leaders mankind has seen. But he had supporters. He had those who were clapping for him. Just as we have leaders today who are having supporters. They are bad leaders, quite all right, but there are those who are benefiting from the system, who are clapping hands for them. They don't want that system to end. It's up to you and I to say, you know what? We need a good leader. And we have to get the good leader into the system. Otherwise, we will continuously remain in the position of oppression. My dear brothers and sisters, the case of Pharaoh, Lanatullahi alayh, is an example for some of us. Those of you who are very lethargic, who sit down thinking that whatever comes, you are ready to take it. No, that's not the best way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the opportunity. No position is permanent in this world. Get up, make a decision. Be among those who bring goodness to society. Going out to vote, to make a decision as to who will preside over you, is an act of ibadah by itself. Yes, otherwise you will allow people who are irresponsible to lead you and even prevent you from worshiping Allah. Don't take it for granted. Your right to vote and select a leader who will lead you is your inalienable right, and nobody can take it away from you. They gain power because many of us are sleeping. We are not ready to carry out our civic duties. As I said, they have supporters. But in every society, those who want goodness are always in the majority. Unfortunately, some of them fall back and show indifference to the system and allow those who are vagabonds to occupy power. My dear brothers and Islam, this issue is very important because between now and 2023, over 50 countries in the world will conduct elections, presidential election, gubernatorial election, congressional election, municipal elections at different levels to select leaders who will lead them. 7 out of these countries will hold their presidential election in Africa in 2023, including Nigeria. But guess what? People are justly for position, and these are not the right people to hold power. If we by chance allow them to come into office, then of course, they will turn the countries upside down. This is the reality. That's why you and I need to wake up. Do we want to continue to allow vagabonds in power, or do we want to take responsibility and make sure that we bring the righteous people to power? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah la yugayiru ma bi qawmin hatta yugayiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change the condition of a nation unless that nation change themselves from the situation that lead them into where they are right now. This is the reality of the situation, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. That's why we need to wake up to make sure that we select the right leaders that will lead our individual societies. Today, people have reached a level where they are saying, you know what, we don't have faith in human beings to lead us. Some are even praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send the angels down to lead mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Cool. Lauka anaman fil aradi malaika yamushuna mutumainin la nazalna alayhim nasamai malakan rasula. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if angels were living on this planet, then of course he will bring angels to rule over the people, to guide the people. But unfortunately, we are human beings, and he will continue to send human beings to preside over our own affairs. It's up to you as human beings to sit down and decide as to who is going to be the best person to manage your own affairs. That's where the responsibility belongs to us. If we give up that responsibility, then we allow vagabonds to occupy power, and we will be the people to receive the problem. Are you aware of the common saying that every society gets the kind of leadership it deserves? That is a very true saying. Many of us complain today about our leaders. But why is it that we cannot find a good leader? An angel will not come from the heaven to rule us. It must be human beings from among ourselves. The fact that we cannot produce a good and righteous leader means that we, as human beings, we are failing in our responsibilities on the planet. There is need for us to transform ourselves, to purify our heart, to seek goodness for ourselves and for other people. Otherwise, a good leader cannot emerge from nowhere. It can only come out of us. If the population is corrupt, then the leadership that comes out of it will be corrupt. And this is the problem that we find in today's world. Many people are corrupt. Many people are unrighteous. Many people are not better than the leaders they are selecting. This is the problem we have found ourselves in today's world. And we need to find a way to redress this problem. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alem tara kayfa daraba Allahu masalan kalimatan tayyibatan kashajaratin tayyibatin asluha thabitun wa faruha fis sama tuti ukulaha kulahin bi'izni rabbiha wa yadribu Allahu al-amsala lin-nas la'allahum yatazakkarun. ومثل كلمة خبيثة كشجرة خبيثة اجتثت من فوق الأرض ما لها من قرار. That's from Surah Ibrahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, aren't you aware? He gave us a parable of a good word. A good word is like a good tree. What it means is that a good tree does not come from nowhere. It comes from a good soil and produce that which is good. But if the soil is not good, that tree cannot grow and cannot produce. And even if it produces, it will be of no benefit. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us a kind of metaphor for us to think of what to do to make sure that we plant on a good soil. That leader you are looking for is going to be the plant, and you are the soil. If you are corrupt, the leader is also corrupt. At the end of the day, the leader will bring what is bad to the entire society. That's why in Surah Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alikabithatu lilikabithina walikabithuna lilikabithat. Watwaibatu litwaibina watwaibuna litwaibat. The impure woman is for the impure man, and the impure man is for the impure woman. The pure woman is for the pure man, and the pure man is for the pure woman. That's how it's supposed to be. If we put it on reverse, it's not going to produce any good result. What does it mean? In simple terms, that what is good gives rise to what is good. What is good brings about what is good as well. You cannot expect leaders to be pure when the population out of which the leader was selected is not pure. No, leaders don't come from nowhere. They come out of us. Therefore, we must purify ourselves and strive to make sure that we also select a leader that is pure to lead our own affairs. That is the reality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever does the reverse, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. Whoever does the reverse, fail to do that which is right, then of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you are the architect of your own misfortune. Whatever you find in that way, we shall make it easy for you to go that direction you want to go. Whatever decision you have chosen for yourself, Allah says, we shall make that way easy for you. We shall leave you to follow the way. And at the end of the day, you lead yourself to self-destruction. So my dear brothers and sisters, the advice I have for you and have for myself is, the time has come for all of us to sit down to look for a good leader. Because we have lost faith in many of the leaders we have seen in the past, people are now abandoning the universally accepted principles for choosing a good leader to go for that which is primordial, which is selfish at best. Instead of considering knowledge, competence, honesty, purposefulness, impartiality, goodness as the parameters for choosing who will lead us, people are now looking for those with whom they go to the same church, or go to the same mosque, or belong to the same club, as if that will translate to good leadership. No. We have seen Muslim societies that have produced terrible leaders. We have seen Christian societies that have produced terrible leaders. And we have seen other religious societies that have produced evil-minded leaders. Your religious belief does not automatically translate you into a good leader. We must bear this in mind. Because this is becoming an issue now in several countries, like Nigeria. Why is this ticket a Muslim ticket? We need a Muslim-Christian ticket. We need a Christian-Christian ticket. As if that will produce the best leader we need. No. A Muslim ticket can bring the worst leadership. A Christian ticket can also bring the worst form of leadership if the candidates in those tickets are not people who have what it takes to become the leader of the country. Some of the principles that we have mentioned. Fear of God, for example. Taking everybody as part of the society and being fair and just to everyone. These are some of the criteria we should be considering. Not what religion the person belongs to. It doesn't matter where he belongs to, Christian or Muslim or animist, it doesn't matter. As long as he's a good leader. Al-Hassan al-Basri Rahmatullahi alayhi says, Allah will support a nation that is ruled by just leaders, even if those leaders are non-Muslims. And Allah will punish a nation that is ruled by unjust leaders, even if those leaders were Muslims. The same is the case when it comes to Christianity. The fact that you are a bishop doesn't mean that automatically that's going to make you a good leader. No. We must remove all these primordial sentiments from our selection process if we want to have goodness for the society. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. Take shaitan away from our lives. Take our life far away from the shaitan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us good leaders. Leaders that will transform our countries from the level of poverty to the level of prosperity. From evil to goodness, leaders that will bring peace and tranquility to everyone in the society. ربنا تقبل إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت الغفور الكريم وأنا لا بحمدك ونك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك الحمد لله.